Right, this is a video for a Honda Civic. This is a 2.2 EX diesel, and the car is registered AU58VNL. Mileage at the start of this brief road test is 88,215 miles. The reason we do the road tests, as I say in all of them, is basically we're selling now to customers from all over the near continent and all over the UK as well. And we just like people to see the cars in operation prior to coming to see us. If there's anything I can report back on test drive, then I can do so for you. And also worth pointing out that the road test is done on exactly the same roads as any prospective buyer will be doing themselves, so it should be very representative of you know what you should feel yourself if you come to drive the car. This car is well known to us actually. We actually sold it to the gentleman who had it up until recently and is now selling it back to us. So we're glad to see it back. It's a lovely spec car, because obviously EX spec isn't normally as high as this. So with the leather and the panoramic roof and the big wheels and the side mouldings, it's a big spec car. The gear levers are out of the parts accessories bin. And he's kept the car very, very nicely indeed. Just a few cosmetic things on the outside. Engine very, very sweet. Really is. It's a lovely unit anyway. This one starts absolutely first turn of the key. There's no strange noises or whirrings or vibrations going back through it. Pulls very cleanly with lots and lots and lots of power. So it kept all its original power nicely. But a wonderful, wonderful engine. They really are. The engine then goes through from engine through to clutch, then into the gearbox. Clutch is lovely and smooth on operation. It's very silent, smooth clutch pedal. Bites beautifully well, and bites at exactly the right point of the travel on the suspension as well. Gearbox, real lessons by the manufacturers on how to do them. It's a brilliant gearbox, short in throw, utterly precise in its in the gate in which it operates. Fantastically well judged synchromesh on the gear changes as well. It doesn't feel notchy, doesn't feel vague. It just feels beautifully, beautifully precise, and completely at odds with the fact that it is a cable operated gearbox through to the gearbox in the front of the car, but it really does feel as though it just goes straight down into a gearbox underneath, which clearly it doesn't. But I can't feel an ounce of wear in the gear change at all. You rarely do on the Civics. They're so well made. Looking around the vehicle itself and driving the car, it just feels nice and tight. The steering tracks absolutely dead straight. There's no vibrations coming back through the steering at all. The car has that sort of lovely kind of precise feel to it still. Which the Civics are very, very well known for. It's a very dynamic drive. It's a lovely place to sort of sit and if you still like to enjoy your driving, then it's a great car for that, because it responds to you as well. This car just feels lovely, lovely and tight. It really does. I can just detect at the back of the car I'm not sure whether it's something loose in the boot. But the whole point of this test drive is, I am honest on them. If there is something that, just as I'm driving along there, because when I'm listening out for the suspension, I do listen out for noises, and I can just hear something at the back there. It could well just be that the jack is loose in its holder, because that's what it sounds like. Or it could be something like a little suspension mount, just like one of these little rubber bushes. But something just making a bit more noise than it should do. But it may not be the suspension, but I'll get that checked by a mechanic. As I drive along, also just listening out for other noises, like wind noises that shouldn't really be there. Where someone's sort of skagged a door seal, or windscreen or sunroof not fitted quite right, but it's very, very quiet in here, nice and subdued. Air conditioning on it's actually a lovely day outside. It's 16 degrees, beating down with the sun. So got in the car, it was absolutely blindingly hot, but the air conditioning is pumping out lovely cold air. The interior is in super condition, really nice condition, been kept very well. Leather upholstery looks really fresh and crisp. Dashboard itself, you know, and any marks on it are minuscule. It just has, again, very fresh look to it as well. High up sat nav system, you can see there, working absolutely perfectly. Really great place for it. You know, you don't have to take your eyes off the road to take that information in. Then down here you've got the controls, which are all, again, you know, really beautifully made. Every little switch has that lovely kind of click actuation. To this side here we've got the manual controls for the climate control system as well. So you cannot actually operate that, bizarrely enough, in 3 ways. One, by pressing the climate controls button on there and scrolling through using the rotary knob, or you can use that using the readout up here, just high up, or you got voice activation as well, which, you know, is a, you know, not my choice, but it's, you know, it is there. But I'll give it a go. Fan speed 5.
Fan speed 5.
There you are. So it's turned my fan speed up, but pressing the button is a fair bit easier as far as I'm concerned, but that's by the by. But that works nicely. Obviously that brings me on, we've got a multifunction steering wheel here with audio, cruise control, information display, and your hands-free functions on that side there. Best part, having said that, of the dashboard by a country mile, is this 2-tier dashboard in front of me, which is brilliant, because we've got this, you know, really high up display there for MPH, and that basically means I can very easily see the speed whilst also looking at the car in front. You know, the corner of my eye, you know, as I'm looking at that car now, I know I'm doing 26, 28, 29, 30. You know, it's just such a clever system. It means I can, you know, keep my eye on the traffic, but not, you know, take my eyes off the speed. So, you know, at the risk, obviously, speeding, but obviously keeping my speed down for, you know, for safety reasons as well. But just a brilliantly clever system. There's also a button you can press on these where you can change the speed to kilometres per hour. So if you're going abroad, and that's instant, and it changes all the other settings to litres as well for metric. Either side of that you've got a little rev display and econometer as well. Down below we've got this more conventional looking binnacle, but even that's still got this kind of floating dial coming out towards you with display rather, with information display for sort of fuel economy and trip meters and that kind of stuff. But that's surrounded by this big rev counter, to the left of which is a temperature gauge with, as I said before, it's, you know, operating at a third of the way up, which is exactly where it wants to be. And temperature gauge, fuel gauge to the right, sorry. But it could not be anything other than a Civic in here. You know, you're in something which is very unique. You know, you sit in some, you know, perfectly good cars, and I'm not deriding them anyway. You know, these sort of Focuses and Golfs and Astras and that kind of stuff. You know, they're all fine cars in their own right, although not as good as these in my opinion, but that's by the by. But they're all basically variations on a theme. You know, it's a centre stack and a binnacle there, and it's just, you know, it's all pretty dull really. But the Honda's just got something really interesting, and it is an absolute work of art at night when it's illuminated. It looks absolutely stunning. But what it isn't is style over function. You know, it's not a gimmick. It looks fantastic, but it works brilliantly. The ergonomics are really good. Everything's within fingertip control. Once you've driven the car for a day, you've all the information. You know exactly where to press. It becomes pretty much, you know, it becomes like a reflex action to sort of press buttons. It's very simple. The controls are incredibly high quality. Everything works with a sort of click precision to it, which is, you know, very typical of Honda. But it's just such a nice car to drive. It's got loads of guts to the engine, but it's a very accessible engine in terms of kind of the power it produces. It's you know, you know, for those who've still got, you know, a bit of a spark about them and, you know, enjoy driving, it's great. You've got a chassis that responds very quickly to the directness of the steering, and it's, you know, it's a fun place to be and sit, but it doesn't compromise in any way on the more, you know, possibly more important things than like practicality. You've got these ingenious magic seats behind us, the biggest boot in its class by a country mile, loads of rear legroom, so it hasn't pinched on that either. And you got all the safety features you could want, and you got Honda's reliability, which is literally second to none in this class and age of car. So it's a car that pretty much ticks every box, which is why they still prove incredibly popular. And to find them with this, you know, level of specification is rare indeed. But you know, it's you know, whoever gets the car next will be a very, very lucky recipient of a lovely car. But anyway, the point of the test drive was really just to sort of give you a feedback on the vehicle. So apart from a little bit of noise in the back there, which in all honesty is probably something or nothing. Well, I'll get my mechanic to check it over, make sure that's all good, but in every other respect the car drives absolutely beautifully.